So in previous sessions, we saw how to create arrays, right? And before that, we saw how to write simple programs in Python. And I hope all of you have now either accessed Google Colab in through laptop, or you have downloaded Google Colab in mobile, right? I know few of you said you have challenges, right? But I hope you have downloaded and it's all ready to go. Uh, so can I assume that everyone has got Google Colab now? Okay, good. So as you saw, it is very easy, right? It's very intuitive, and it also tells you if you're making a mistake, right? So please download it. It's very easy, right? Makes your life easy, and it's even pointing to a site, right, where some discussions are happening whenever you make any error, right, in programming. So that's a very good way of learning, right? In fact, with this learning, right, whatever you're learning through this program, I think through Google Colab and the option that it gives, you will be able to acquire expertise, in Python programming. So I'm very confident about it. Uh, the other one, in the previous session, we saw about arrays, right? Creating arrays. So arrays are important concept. Okay, why arrays are important? In fact, we are going to talk a lot more, about tables, arrays. How can they be created through other ways? Because data is going to be made available in the form of a table, right? And you have to work around the tables. You have to manipulate the tables. You have to add a record, delete a record, right? You have to manipulate the records, add a column. All of that you're going to do, right, as part of your data analysis and creating artificial intelligence systems and analytical models. Okay, so all of that we are going to be doing. So arrays are an important concept. So in today's session we are going to see loops and functions in Python. Okay, so we got an introduction of the if else statement, uh, e- even while writing, even while creating flowcharts. Okay, and we also used if else uh, partially while introducing how to write programs, right? We saw that in creating arrays. Okay, so we are going to see that in more detail, so you get a complete idea of how to create and the how to use if else as part of your programming sequences. See, if else is an important concept if you really see, because we always are comparing, right? Is something better than another person, or that person's height, person's marks, right? So this comparison is always happening. Okay, and if you see, this is written using if keyword, right? So we are going to use this, right? In fact, this is a very basic thing. Okay, let's understand what are the logical conditions, from the world of mathematics. Equals means a, two equals. Okay, if it is not equal means it comes with an explanation. Less than is this symbol, less than or equal to is this, greater than is, that greater than or equal to. Okay, and can be used in several ways, because these are conditional statements, from mathematics, right? They can be used in many ways. Most commonly they are used in if and loops. Okay, because you want to as part of a program, you may have to constantly check a condition, right, whether the condition is true or not. Then you go and do some actions, right? So let's look at an example again using Google Colab, right? A equals 142, B equals 150. I'm just giving a number. If B is greater than A, go ahead and print B is greater than A, right? 150 is indeed greater than 142. It is printing B is greater than A. Okay. Now see this. If I don't give the space, what is called as an indentation, okay, it gives an error. Okay, this is the way the computer will interpret. And it also tells, it's an intended indentation error. Okay, while copying, I left it. The stack discussion, is given. And just click it, it'll take you to the respective place, right? So as we are talking, please try this out, right? I want all of you to try it out in Google Colab. Okay, see if you are getting this. Make this mistake. Okay, deliberately, write incorrectly, print, and see if you are getting this message, and see if you are getting the link to the Stack Overflow. Okay, I want you to see, understand the opportunities here, right? Is everyone trying it out in Google Colab, right? So I want you to do it, right? So you get an idea of how to do it, right? And see here, if uh, if there is an error, it is even pointing, in red color, correct? Okay, so the other one, else, is using elif. Okay, it is else if, right? The elif keyword is a way of saying if the previous conditions were not true, then try this condition, right? A equals 10, B equals 10. If B is greater than A, okay, here it is not the case, B is greater than A. Else if, print A and B are equal. Clear? The elif is a way of saying if the previous conditions were not true, then try this condition. You will encounter this. So please try it as well. Right? Try giving another number and see how it works. This is how you learn. When you're trying, give A equals 11, B equals 10. See what is getting printed. Are you getting B is greater than A? You should get it. Because when you give A equals 11, this condition is true. Right? So try. It is through trial and error that you learn. You make mistakes. It's okay. Unlike the olden days, it is telling you, it is showing it to you in red that you made a mistake. And it's also telling you where the mistake is. Right? So you saw else if and you also have else. Right? It catches anything which is not caught by the preceding conditions. I was hoping some of you will ask the question. Okay. Why you are not asking that question? Think. You have to think, right? So here I could have a scenario where B is 11. So what will happen? Try it out. Try it out and see. Okay. So to have a structured way of doing it, you cover all possibilities. Clear? You're covering all possibilities through the else statement. This is one. This is one. Another. You can have nested if. You're going to see that, right? Within this, there's one more check. So you can write, okay? And can you tell me what is one mistake I have made here? I was hoping some of you will spot it. Sorry, we can't hear you. Yeah. I was hoping, I was, but more fundamentally, good. Yeah, yes, good point. Okay, you are asking if the code is incorrect. How did the code get executed? It's not really a mistake. Okay, if you recollect, I said every code should start with an hash. That's the appropriate way of writing codes. I have not done it here. Can you see it? Good, you correct that. The code is right. The point I was referring to is not really a mistake, okay, but the right way of organizing your code. Don't make that mistake. There is no hash statement here. Remember what I said in the previous sessions. Always start with a hash symbol. That line will not be executed. If you are seeing this code after some time, if you are seeing this code after some time, you will know why you have written this, what you have written this. Do you understand? So always make sure. I have made a mistake. As I said, it's not a mistake from the point of view of processing the code, but it is definitely a mistake from the point of view of organizing your code. You should start with a hash statement. A hash statement, will not be processed, but it tells hash statements should say this is a code about if, elif, and else. So it is clear. I don't have to read the entire code. Just by looking at the hash statement, I will be able to tell why I have written the code. Is this clear? So please make sure, okay, please make sure that you are using the hash statement. So we have seen if, else if, and else. What is the short form? You can straight away come here, right? Print x if a is greater than b, else print y, right? You can write this in single sentence. We saw that earlier as well, right? It will understand. Okay. I can combine two conditions, as you can see here. If A is greater than B and C is greater than A, right? This will say both conditions are true. Clear? I can combine R as well. Okay. In this case, I am saying at least one of the conditions is true. Clear? So you can use and R as well as part of the conditional statements. And you can use if, else to process your codes. Clear? Okay. This is what I was telling, nested if. Okay. Print about n. And then if a is greater than 20, print and also about 20, else print but not about 20. Do you understand this? And I can introduce more things as well. That's how real codes are written, because you are looking at multiple lines of code. We are looking at multiple lines of code here, right? Why you are writing it? Because your conditions are so many. Is this clear? The concept of nested if? Go and play around, right? It's very simple. Okay. So go ahead and try nested if. If you're a student, you can take marks of your class and create statements like this. Yes or no? You can play around, right? You have your friends, you have details of your friends, details of marks, right? Very easy, right? I want you to try. As I am covering this, I want you to try it in Google Colab. So you can see the results for yourself. Okay. So Python, loops, we saw the conditions, right? If, else, we saw, right? And we also saw nested ifs, okay? Nested if else loop, okay? And now you can, it's a kind of a loop, right? But the right way to go about putting it in a loop, right, is while or for, okay? In a while loop, we can execute as long as a condition is true. Okay? In a for loop, we are iterating over a sequence. Okay? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay. While a condition is true, it prints. For is everyone. If you have a set of students, list with you, as long as the student is a boy, go print something. As long as the student is a girl, go print something. That is while. A for is, if let's say there is a field, okay, you have certain roll number, you are going to iterate over a sequence. Understand? So let's see some examples so you understand this better. Okay, while loop. Print I as long as I is less than 10. Right? So you start with I is 1. While I is less than 10, print I equals I plus 1. Remember we saw this. You understand? This is actually I equals I plus 1. Right? Do you all understand why it is stopping at 9? Right? When I is 10, it will not process, right? This is print of I. You don't even enter the loop. See, I have introduced the hash command here. Sorry, the hash statement here. This will be easy, right? If you're going to see after some time, if you're going to see your code, print I as long as I is less than 10. And the beauty is you can save the codes, whatever you're typing in Colab. Please save it. It gets saved to your Google Drive, right? It stays in cloud. Okay. And exit the loop when I is 4. I is 1, while I is less than 5. Here you're telling break. You're telling break. Exit the loop. So this can be an interview question if some of you are planning to attend, right? What is the difference between while loop and for loop? How can you exit a loop? What is the command that is used to exit a loop? Okay. See, this is how you prepare. When you do this, you know clearly how to go about. Clear? Let's see the while loop. Here we are continuing to iterate, go about this process of iteration, right? And we are checking is I equal to 3. Clear? I have introduced else also here. See this here. It is coming up to 5 because I is less than 6, else print I is no longer than 6. Some statement. I is no longer less than 6. And to continue, I use the keyword continue. Okay. Here in the previous one we saw we are breaking. You can use the same thing in while loop as well. Right? The for loop and while loop. For is it is iterating, while usually checks for a condition. So do you understand the difference between for and while loop now? Is this clear? Okay. Some more examples. A simple for example, right? Fruits. I've created orange, mango, and grapes. See, I've created an array. For X in fruits, print X. Do not print mango. Right? Here you are saying you are avoiding a particular item using the word keyword continue. Because whenever it comes to mango, it will say continue. That means it is going to the next one. Clear? And you are exiting the loop. It starts orange, mango. If X equals mango, break. It prints orange, mango, and then if X equals mango, it is not allowing the system to print grapes. Understand? You can see the else also. Clear? For X in range 6, which means if you say this, it creates 0 to 5. After it is finished, it is checking else. Finally finished. Can you see how I can use for in an array? A simple for we saw. Okay. Nested loops, right? I have created two things. Okay. Fruits features, red, big, tasty. Fruits are orange, mango, grapes. For X in fruits features, for Y in fruits, I am printing X comma Y. Red orange, red mango, red grapes. Clear? See how I am playing around. See how I am playing around with various concepts. Clear? Any doubts? And I want you to try it. As we are going through the class, try it. Okay. So now, having seen for loops, so what are the things we have seen in Python so far? We have seen how to write simple commands, starting with hello world, right? We are writing everything in Colab. We also saw arrays, right? Very, very important concept. We have seen conditional statements. We have seen loops, for loop, while loop. We have seen else, else if, else, right? Important things, we have seen. Now, another important thing in Python you must know is functions. Okay, a function is a reusable code. Okay, it's a reusable code that we use to perform a single related action. If let's say you have to do additions multiple times in your sequence of codes, right? I can create a function called add. Okay, and what will happen? It adds the two numbers that I'm putting here. So next time when I have to add, I don't have to do this. All I have to do is x equals add 5 comma 6. I can even say print in brackets add 5 comma 6. Why I am doing it? Because this aspect of the code, that is addition, the process of addition, is going to get repeated multiple times in my code. This is again a best practice. Remember the hash that I said that appears in green, right? See this here, this is a best practice. This is the way to write a code. This is the way to organize a code. Similarly, writing functions is one of the best practices in coding. If you want to be an expert programmer, you should organize your code better. In fact, one of the complaints that we receive is people sometimes overlook this very simple thing, right? So what you do, you end up writing a process of, repeatable codes as individual chunks of codes. The idea is not to have long lines of codes, okay? The idea is to have codes that are needed, okay, that are organized well, okay? That's our objective. So this is an important concept, okay? Function is an important concept. Please remember this. Whatever may be, your level of expertise, if there is a need, okay, for repetitive actions, you must go for reusable chunks of code, right? And that reusable code is called as a function. In fact, if you see, Python itself is giving a lot of predefined functions. You're going to see that. Okay, there are a lot of predefined functions to create graphs. There's something called as matplotlib. Okay, through that you can create charts easily. Okay, but what we are talking about is user defined functions. There are already built in what is called as predefined functions. Okay, in fact, that is why these new programming language like Python are so powerful, because there are so many pre-built functions that are available, the form of libraries. It makes the life a lot easier, because all you have to do is just call. Okay, someone has actually gone through the process of understanding and creating and making lives easier for us. Okay, where I need to write many lines of code to create a graph, I can create a graph by calling a specific library, right? In the case of graphs, it is matplotlib. Okay, we are going to see that. So functions are of two types: predefined and user defined. As I said, many predefined functions are available in Python. That's what makes it a lot easier to use, a lot simpler to use. But you will be called upon to write many user defined functions. Why you have to write it? Because you are going to have, because you will have repetitive actions, it's better to create your own functions. Did you all try this as we were talking? Did you all try this? Clear? Any doubts? So this is an important concept. This is a very, very important concept. Functions, okay? So you all have to write functions. Please remember this. Okay? So that's what I wanted to cover in today's session. Okay? What are the things we saw in today's session? We saw else if statement, if, else if, else. We saw what are the things that you can check. You can check for greater than, equal to, not equal to. You can check, if a particular value is present, in an array. We saw all of that, right? Then we saw while and for. While, primarily to check for a condition. For your iterating again and again, right? Loop means it is going on in a loop. You can have nested loops. Okay, you can break a loop. Okay, you can continue the loop. All the options are available for us. And here we are talking of, lastly we saw, last but not the least, I should say. Okay, it's definitely not the least, a very, very important concept in programming, functions. We saw how to write a function. This is a very, very simple function that I've written. I encourage you, to write more functions and see for yourself. Right? Here I have, using a keyword, I created this add, it'll add. Right? So I have created a function. Because I know that in my program, I will have multiple need for doing additions. See, in the case of addition, it is very simple, right? But what if your function actually covers 10 lines of code? Instead of writing 10 lines of code, say 5 times, you write a function, right? What I've seen is if people don't write a function, people sometimes write in a different way for this repetitive action, and that adds to the confusion. And imagine, if someone were to see this code after a while, right? That is, the code is being seen by someone who has not written. It makes it so difficult, right? Because all of this are going to create an artificial intelligence system and someone has to maintain it, right? And if there is an error, someone has to debug it. So in the absence of function, in the absence of things like this hash, it is so much difficult to understand what has actually gone into this chunk of code. Okay, so that's the beauty of functions. Okay,